What's up, Joesph here, and today is my debut opinion that is probably controversial. I love Skyrim, but it's not an RPG. I would say as a series, The Elder Scrolls is an RPG, but Skyrim specifically, it's not an RPG.
Damn it!
It's an action role-playing game with RPG elements, or at the very least, it's just a bad RPG.
That's not to say that Skyrim is a bad game. Quite the contrary. I'm the guy that owns Skyrim on every conceivable console imaginable.
Hey Alexa, play Skyrim.
Welcome back to Skyrim, Adventurer.
It's a very good game with an argumentally unlimited amount of playtime. That's why videos on YouTube about Skyrim consistently gain millions upon millions of views. Sadly, with all the praise Skyrim gets, it often overshadows the other and, in my opinion, better games in the series such as Morrowind and Oblivion, which happen to be much better RPGs than Skyrim.
The most basic argument I hear for Skyrim being an RPG is that you're a person with a role and you're playing that person, hence the name role-playing game.
Is not an RPG?
That's one of the most dumbest arguments I've ever heard. With that kind of logic, you would say that Zelda is an RPG. Do you think that Zelda is an RPG?
Let me humor you for just a second though. If the only qualification for an RPG is that you have a role and you fulfill that role within the game, well yes, Skyrim is an RPG and it passes that test with flying colors. You can be every damn thing in the game, even if canonically it doesn't make any sense at all. But does that make Red Dead Redemption an RPG? No, he's a fucking cowboy. That's preposterous. But even looking at it from this perspective, having every role at your fingertips doesn't really give you a role. If you can be anything and everything, you're just kind of everything and anything you want to be. Which is cool in its own right, but it's not really an RPG. It's just a sandbox at that point. If you want to join the Mages Guild and all you use is heavy armor and hammers and literally have never practiced any magic in your life, they don't care.
Yeah, I love Sonic. Backwards. Let's take a look at another game in the Elder Scrolls series, Morrowind. If you want to be a thief in that game, well, go right ahead. I just hope you're not already a part of the Fighters Guild.
You see, in Morrowind there are factions, and as factions tend to do, they have their own politics, and as far as politicking goes, most politics aren't aligned very well. And what do you know, the faction of hired thugs doesn't like the thieving type. Now because this game is ass old and made by Bethesda, there are ways around it that were overlooked in development. But there was some margin of effort when it came to limiting the player on what they could do. That's what an RPG does. It cuts off other parts of the world and story based on what you do as a player character. The world builds around the player based on the player's choices. To further expand this idea, in a true RPG, the story and world are directly affected by the choice of the player. Whether that be direct action you take as a character or dialogue choices you make, the world will be affected by it some way, somehow. Skyrim just doesn't have that same weight that other RPGs do. Sure, there are some, like joining the Legion blocks you from being a Stormcloak or being a vampire locks you out from the Dawn Guard, but things like that in Skyrim are very rare, and that's okay.
You see, Skyrim was intentionally designed like this to appeal to a more broad audience, which is fine because it made the Elder Scrolls name get more recognition from people, and I'm sure there's several people like me that played Skyrim and wanted something more from the series, and they went back to the older games and fell in love with those as well. That is why Skyrim is so appealing to this day. The appeal of being able to be anything at any time still resonates with people. It helps people escape from the real world for a couple hours at a time. I mean, can you really be a mass murderer and a homeowner at the same time in the real world?
The most prolific argument for Skyrim being an RPG is that you can level up and become more proficient in your skills. By that logic, yeah, Skyrim is an RPG, but so is Madden. No the hell it isn't!
Leveling up and gaining XP is an intrinsic element of any RPG experience, but it's just that. An element. Many games have RPG elements such as leveling up, but leveling up needs to be accompanied with other RPG elements, such as character development, plot progression, and choices that affect the world around you. You'll notice that most RPGs have a level cap, and this is to prevent the player from becoming a jack of all trades. The basic idea is that you're good at these things and not good at these things. I'm really good at glasses, but I just can't figure out bracelets. I mean, what am I supposed to do with this thing? How does this fit on this? That's Satan!
Skyrim just kind of lets you do whatever you want. You were a guy with a big hammer, well now you're a stealth archer. In that regard, Skyrim is kind of like a sandbox. While I would never call Skyrim a sandbox, it does allow for the player to mess around with just about anything and everything.
I'm not trying to inhibit anyone's enjoyment of this game or gatekeep the genre or medium. I'm just here to state my opinion, which also happen to be the facts. In conclusion, Two Worlds is a better game.